I joined a new app for working various gigs. They seemed nonsensical at first, but now I realize the terrible truth behind the tasks I was given. Submitted by Travis Liebert. I woke up early one Sunday morning, grabbed my phone, and began scrolling through the countless notifications I'd received during the night. It was my morning ritual, and I worked to sort through various texts, social media notifications, and emails. However, as I was doing so, one particular notification stuck out. It was an email from a company I'd never heard of, Acheron Industries. An offer you can't pass up. The subject read. Curious, I opened it. Dear Joshua Lowe. First and foremost, congratulations on being one of the select few to receive this offer. This is an exclusive position that we don't extend to just anyone. Acheron Industries has just launched a new app called Infernium. Are you strapped for cash? Or maybe you just want to make a little on the side? Well, Infernium gives you plenty of money to burn. Our app is an invitation-only program that allows you to receive offers for easy gigs that pay extremely well. We've received amazing feedback about the app, and our current users are raving about the lucrative amounts of money they're making for simple jobs. If you're interested in applying to be one of our exclusive users, then download Infernium in the App Store and enter the following code when prompted, JLOW18. We look forward to working with you. Acheron Industries. Fucking spam, I muttered to myself, immediately moving to delete the email. However, I stopped just before pressing the little trash icon. My job didn't pay all that well, and I'd been looking for an opportunity to make some extra cash. Maybe it was worth a look. Intrigued, I opened the App Store and looked it up. It had a perfect 5-star rating, and all of the reviewers claimed to be making more from the app than they would at a full-time job. I suspected that they were fake, but the reviews weren't rife with the spelling errors and repetitive phrasing one normally finds with sketchy product reviews. They all seemed to be from real people. I shrugged and downloaded the app. Upon opening it, I was immediately prompted to enter a code. Glancing back at the email I'd received, I entered the one they'd provided and was granted access. A new screen opened, which asked me to create an account and provide my PayPal address. I was still skeptical but entered my information anyway. It didn't ask for anything particularly personal, so what was the harm? Once I'd submitted my information, I was asked to accept their terms and conditions. I clicked the attachment and saw that the file was nearly 30 pages long. Deciding not to waste my time picking through the legal jargon, I simply clicked accept. The page disappeared, and the words "We will contact you shortly" floated on a plain black background. I sighed and put my phone down. Maybe it was just a scam to get my contact information so they could sell it to some third party. I doubted anything would come of it. To my surprise, my phone rang less than a minute later. The caller ID displayed a 1-800 number that I didn't recognize. "Hi, is this Joshua Lowe?" a professional-sounding man asked when I picked up the phone. "Yes, it is," I replied. "This is Liam with Acheron Industries. I'd first like to thank you for joining our new startup Infernium. I'll be your personal task manager for the app." "Oh," I said, "how exactly does this work?" "Straight to the point, I see. I like it." Liam spoke quickly but enunciated clearly, sounding as if he'd done this a million times. "Basically, I'll text you the details for upcoming gigs. Typically, they need to be completed within a certain time frame, so we'll give you as much heads up as possible. Once you receive the details of the job, you simply have to carry it out. Payments will be sent to you via PayPal shortly after completion of the task. Aside from that, there's nothing more you need to do." "That's it?" I asked, still suspicious of the app. It all seemed a little shady, especially since they randomly reached out to me via email. "Pretty much. I will warn you that the tasks may seem strange and ambiguous. But I assure you that you won't be doing anything illegal. The first 2 gigs are optional, so, if you feel uncomfortable doing them, you're free to refuse. However, if you reject any subsequent tasks, then you'll be terminated as per the terms of service." That sounds fine. The idea of being able to reject my first 2 gigs made it seem at least a little more legitimate. "Perfect. I'll text you with details when the next gig becomes available." Liam hung up without another word, and I was left, wondering what kind of tasks they would ask me to do. I didn't have to wonder long, because I received a text only 2 hours later. "Buy a bag of peanut M&Ms at 3 p.m. today, leave the package on a bench near the swings at Jaywood Park. No further action required. Payout, $300. Reply yes to accept." I stared at the text in utter bewilderment. $300 to leave a bag of M&Ms at a park? What kind of gig was this? I figured I'd be buying groceries for people or helping old ladies move their couch. Maybe it was some kind of promotional thing. The task was strange, to say the least, but I didn't see any harm in it. I picked up my phone and responded, yes. At that point, all I had to do was wait until 3 p.m. rolled around. I wondered how they would even verify if I'd completed the task. They hadn't asked me to send a picture or any other kind of proof. But I figured it couldn't hurt to give it a try. Jaywood Park was only a few blocks down the road. That afternoon, I stopped by the convenience store and bought a bag of peanut M&Ms. Then I drove to the park and found a bench near the swings. I wasn't sure how they wanted it exactly, so I just left it in the center of the bench with the label facing outward. I glanced around to see a mother sitting across the park and a couple kids playing on the swings. Shrugging, I got back in my car and left. When I got home, I looked at my phone and nearly dropped it in surprise. Acheron Industries had sent me $300 via PayPal. My jaw dropped at the sight of the payment. How did they even know that I'd completed the task? Were they just assuming I had since it was so simple? I tried to put the thoughts out of my mind. If all the tasks were this easy, then I was bound to make plenty of money from the app. Hell, it was practically miraculous. At that moment, I decided it best not to ask questions. There was no way I could turn down this kind of money. Over the next several weeks, I received more and more esoteric tasks. They came pretty much every other day, and they were all equally confusing. At one point, I was asked to spray paint the words "Do It" on the rocky shore near a local river. I thought that it might be considered vandalism but figured the $500 payout was well worth the risk. Other tasks included laying a brick in the center of a random sidewalk, leaving a $200 tip for a waitress, and misplacing a book in a library. At one point, I was given the description of a man, including what he was wearing, and asked to find him at a local bar. Once I found him, I was supposed to buy him a few drinks then leave. All the tasks were like that, strange little jobs that seemed to have no discernible goal. They confused me, and I often questioned what their purpose was, but I soon stopped caring. Watching the money roll in became addictive. It was almost like a game. I had to do stupid little side quests and was given absurd monetary rewards. At this rate, I could probably save enough money to retire by the time I was 40. I couldn't believe it. Then I received a text that left me absolutely bewildered. At 5 p.m. today, find a man named Oliver McCoy near the corner of 3rd Street and Cedar Road, average height, white male, gray hair, jeans, and a gray jacket. Purchase a small rosary and hand it to him. Say nothing. No further action required. Payout, $10,000. I stared at the text for what felt like an eternity. $10,000? The gigs had been lucrative before, but this was completely insane. I glanced at the clock and saw that it was 3:30. I didn't have much time, and I didn't have a rosary either. I immediately got in my car and drove to several stores. None of them had rosaries, but I finally found a small religious shop that sold them. I bought a cheap plastic one and raced to the location specified in the text, arriving there with only 2 minutes to spare. I parked and stepped out of my car to see a man pacing back and forth on the corner. He seemed agitated and was muttering to himself. Cautiously, I approached, trying to get a good look at him. He matched the description I'd been given in the text. "Oliver McCoy?" I asked. He stopped and stared at me, his eyes wild. There was a frenzied look about him, and it appeared he hadn't showered in weeks. "Yes?" I reached into my pocket, produced the rosary, and handed it to him. As soon as he saw it, tears welled up in his eyes. He took the rosary with shaky hands, then immediately began to finger the beads and pray. Without another word, I left and returned to my car. When I got home, I sat on my bed and watched my phone, anxiously waiting for the next payment. 1 hour passed, then another. It had never taken this long for a payment to come through. Finally, my phone dinged, and a notification appeared. $10,000 had been sent to my account. I nearly shouted in joy. It was too good to be true. That night, I ordered a lavish amount of food and spent the evening relaxing. Now was a time for celebration. I turned on the TV and began flicking through the channels, trying to find something interesting to watch. As I was doing so, I came across a breaking news story. I flicked past it, but ended up returning, wondering what had happened. A local politician, Wyatt Stokes, had been assassinated. The news sullied my evening, and I almost turned the channel again. Stokes had been a good man, loved and respected by the local community. Many people thought he had a good chance at becoming president one day. Some had even likened him to Jesus. Apparently, someone had shot him while he was making a speech that evening. The newscasters claimed to have footage of the perpetrator being arrested. My drink fell from my hand and splattered across the floor as soon as they began to play the video. It was Oliver McCoy, the man I'd met only a few hours ago. As the police attempted to subdue him, he waved around the rosary, claiming that an angel had given him a sign to kill Wyatt Stokes. An icy feeling settled in my gut as the camera zoomed in on his frenzied eyes. Had I somehow been involved in this? Surely, it was just a coincidence. I tried to push the thought away, but a strange foreboding settled over me. Grabbing my laptop, I began searching for recent news. I looked up the name of the park where I left those M&Ms only to discover that a 5-year-old had died there from an allergic reaction. Apparently, he had a peanut allergy and had torn into an unopened pack of candy he found without knowing what it contained. Shakily, I searched the name of the bar where I'd been sent to buy a random man drinks. A news story appeared detailing how a girl had been killed in a drunk driving accident near the bar. Feeling as if all the air had been sucked out of my lungs, I clicked on the article. The top of the page displayed a mugshot of the driver. It was the same man I'd bought drinks for. No, I said to myself, my voice barely above a whisper. I researched further and found an article about a local suicide. Some man had thrown himself from a local bridge. I recognized the location. The bridge crossed almost directly over the place where I'd spray-painted the words "Do it." This can't be. I felt as if I was in a daze. Had all of my tasks ended like this? Had they all been the first toppled domino in a horrible chain of events? I immediately picked up my phone and called Liam. "I want out," I said as soon as he picked up. "I'm sorry?" "I want out. I don't want to be part of the Infernium thing anymore." The professionalism in Liam's voice seemed to disappear, and he almost sounded snide. "That's not possible." "Of course, it's possible," I insisted. "I'm done. I quit." "There is no quitting Infernium." His voice was cold. "You belong to us now."